Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at this M4. And before we get this video started, I wanted to introduce a brand new sponsor to the Firearm Freedom channel. I am pretty jazzed up about this because I have been working with this sponsor now for years. I want to say about 3 years. I have been building out their plate carriers, and this sponsor is, of course, HRT. I have been using the HRT plate carriers and chest rigs and pretty much everything in between for what they make for almost 3 years now. They have been an incredible company and an awesome help to Firearm Freedom. The biggest thing I wanted to tell you guys about with HRT in the coming month of November is their Black Friday sale. So they're actually going to be doing 20% off store-wide coming up for the entire week of Black Friday. So if you were ever thinking about building out an HRT plate carrier or an HRT placard or chest rig or whatever, it is a great time to do it during that sale because, again, you are going to get 20% off store-wide. So check out the link in the description or the comment section, and I promise you guys you're going to get some very high-quality stuff. Do you guys ever put together a rifle, specifically an AR, but it doesn't have to be that per se, and you don't really think much of it? You're like, oh, I'm just going to slap it together, see what, I'm just kind of in this mood today, right? And all of a sudden, that rifle just becomes like part of your soul, you know? I don't know how to explain it exactly, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes. And that is this rifle for me. I just got the itch to build an M4-like rifle, right? It's not an exact M4. This isn't Select Fire or anything like that. This is just a bone stock M4. We're talking 14.5-inch barrel, detachable carry handle sort of build. And that is what I did here. I just had a little bit of odds and ends lying around in order to do this, and then I purchased some components for this upper. Actually, all of this was just put together by myself. There was not really any company involvement for this particular build. And as soon as I slapped it together, I just immediately fell in love with it. There is something about an M4 type rifle that has no frills. I mean, this thing is just iron-sighted, carry handle. I don't have any sort of IR stuff on here. I don't have any red dot on here. This is just a white light iron sight gun. It is super light, super handy. It's got a standard M4 stock on the back, and this thing is like kind of my new go-to rifle. I don't know what it is about it. It's just awesome. So let's get into exactly what is going on here. Obviously, as you guys can tell, I did rattle can this build. It just brought it all a little bit closer together. You know, when you got an AR and there's some hodgepodge parts going on, a little bit of different color anodizing, whatever, just rattle can it up and it's going to do the part just fine. And as you can see, the rattle canning just kind of brought this all together as one build. And I'm starting to get those awesome wear patterns here when you're actually using the rifle, and it's making me freaking love this thing even more just because it's becoming my rifle. You know, there's something about it. So when we are looking at this, I actually had this upper left just lying around in the parts bin. This was just a Palmetto State Armory upper itself, and the spec on it was kind of like so I really wasn't using it. I decided to throw it together for this particular build. I had the drop-in Midwest Industries quad rail, which I think is excellent for an M4 build like this because it's going to be almost identical to the Knights Armament drop-in rail. I have no complaints about these quad rails at all. And then for the barrel, I went with a Luth AR 14.5-inch fixed front sight post barrel, and that was excellent. Now, of course, this being 14.5-inch, I did have to pin and weld the muzzle device, which is a 3-prong ASR flash hider, which I think on this type of build looks incredible. Now, the FF Pocket Gunsmith did pin and weld this for me, did a great job. You can barely freaking tell it's there, and this thing is rock solid. For the light setup, I went with a standard Streamlight Pro Tac. This is their full-size Pro Tac with the pressure pad. And throughout my use of pressure pads and talking to people who have really been there, done that in the tactical side of things and know far more than me, I started learning about a massive amount of dislike for pressure pads. Talking about light discipline, talking about how much of an issue that is when you inadvertently grab your rifle and click on the pressure pad. And in real world situations, that can be a huge issue. And also all the fail points with the wiring in pressure pads, no matter how high quality that pressure pad is. So I started kind of learning that, and on a lot of my lights, I now have just a standard clicky tail cap on mine. But in this particular setup, I decided to try out the optic cap that I had on my Vortex Strike Eagle. It was on the objective lens in the front, and I figured I could just slam this thing on here. It actually fit just fine, and I could flip it open to engage my white light. If light discipline was incredibly important, I can pop it back on, so that way even if I click my pressure pad, it is not going to come on inadvertently. Now this worked incredibly well. Unfortunately though, the last range day, this thing had a little bit of an issue and the spring popped right out of it. So now I have to figure out just a little bit of a solution, like a paper clip or something to hold this into place, and it's still going to work out fine. But the ProTac has been an excellent light, no complaints about it there, and I think this cap up in the front is going to be excellent. I just got to figure out a better way to make it work. We have a standard detachable carry handle in the rear. You guys know lately, luckily my eyesight is still okay, and I've been sticking a lot more to iron-sighted guns. There's just something about it. I don't have to worry about keeping up with batteries or anything like that. It just works. You can shoot them out at distance. You can shoot them up close. They are fast, they are accurate. It's just kind of a cool vibe these days, and also just a very practical utilitarian sight for a good working rifle. Now for the charging handle, we got standard M4 charging handle. I went with a bootleg nitrided bolt carrier group. This bolt carrier group did really well. As far as shootability at the range, this thing was excellent. The ejection pattern was perfect. It was gassed incredibly well, and I had absolutely no complaints about it whatsoever. A little bit of a side note about the reliability of the bootleg bolt carrier group. The first range day I took this out, I actually forgot to lube any of the parts on this. I just slapped it together, threw it in the range bag, and I didn't realize that I did not only did I not clean, but all the components were bone dry. I'm like, you know what, let's just see, because I don't have any cleaner, I want to do the video, let's just kind of see what happens. This thing ran 100% reliably without a drop of lube in there, which is not what you want to do. And when it comes to an AR pattern rifle, they really generally tend to prefer being run with a little bit of lube. So I was very impressed with that bolt carrier group, not even needing a drop of lube to run reliably at the range. Now I have a standard M4 stock in the rear, no complaints there, it does a very good job. And then also I have a standard A2 style grip. Now with this A2 grip, a lot of people hate on these. I've made so many videos talking about this grip and why I don't mind it, because I grab above the little finger nub thing there and it works out really well. So again, no complaints on it. Standard mil-spec trigger in there, no issue at all. And then I got a Troy Vert grip in the front and a Vickers Blue Force Gear sling. So this sling is excellent, and I just got it looped kind of widely through the M4 stock in the rear, and it's works out great, no complaints. Overall, we were super impressed with this rifle at the range, and the more I run it, the more I wanted to bring it back to the range. I found myself just consistently trying to find excuses to throw this back in the range bag for this first impressions video to just get a little bit more rounds down range, because I was just having that much fun shooting it. So it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you don't need a super expensive rifle. This thing is super cheap to throw together, and it just works, you know? There's something about a rifle that just works. There's not a bunch of just weird odds and ends and things all over it that are the new fad in the industry. These rifles have worked for a very long time, exactly in the configuration that you see here. So I am super excited about it. Guys, that is going to wrap up this first impressions video on this M4 build. If you have any other questions about this build or anything else on the channel, please throw them down below in the comment section, and I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description, check out the different ways to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.